Hey, y'all. Hey, we are here. It's a beautiful fall evening. Fall is in the air. And I love it because my birthday is coming up and it's the leaves are falling. It's good.
She love her birthday, not the temperature.
I love the temperature and my birthday. Why are you playing games with the folks? Anyway, listen, we made it to this night. Welcome to the intentional Christian dating and marriage.
She almost said mingle.
Live panel. We are here. We're so excited. You decided to spend the night with us for a few. So thank y'all for tuning in. Who are we, babe?
With marriage
and purpose.
Collide.
The podcast.
The panel.
But it's the panel this time. So normally.
We the Haleys.
Yes, I'm Lucretia. This is DJ.
Yep.
And so we host a podcast called When Marriage and Purpose Collide. So some of you have seen us on that platform, or you just know us and you just want to come and support. So we thank y'all for tuning in. We want to do something different this time. We wanted to do a panel, and we know we invite guests all the time on the podcast, but now we're like, let's have a conversation. Let's have it to where singles can actually hear us out. So if you don't know, we're both coaches.
Yep.
And we have a desire to inspire and encourage Christian singles out here in these streets who are dating and who desire marriage. And so since that's the case, and we know how tough it is,
it's been difficult.
We want to be able to provide y'all with some tools and resources. And so we said, you know what, let's get on to the panel. And so at this time, we are going to invite all of our panelists to come on to the stage. Boom, boom.
And
yay! We should have had a
wait.
A whatchamacallit. No, take Aeon off. There we
go. Also, wait. Too many.
So listen, thank y'all so much for coming. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you all are here tonight. And so listen, we're going to start off with just you introducing yourselves, letting us know who you are. And we're going to start off with Bianca and Ralph. If you guys will share how long you've been married, and briefly just about you for a little bit.
All right. My name is Ralph.
And I'm Bianca, and you would make us go first.
Yeah.
And we are the Jacksons, and we have been married for 23 years as of this past September.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. We have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. Our kids range in age from 23 to 28, which starting November 15th, it'll be 24 to 29.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all changing. We met at church. We were pretty much kids when we met. We were kids still when we got married. We dated for a little bit. Mm-hmm. We broke up for a little bit. We got back together and we got married like 10 minutes later.
Not 10 minutes.
So that is kind of our story, which is why I'm still like around 29 and we've been married for 23 years.
Oh yes.
So young, right? So yeah.
Y'all young and in love still.
That is us.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, Brandon and Emily.
Hi, my name is Brandon.
And I'm Emily.
We are the Lees. And I'm a relationship coach for young men.
This is actually news to you all that I have a master's in mental health counseling, and up until about a week ago, I was working in the field. I actually decided to resign my position, and more than likely, I will actually kind of be partnering with Brandon in doing some life coaching on relationships with women. So I'm excited for just this new opportunity.
Yeah, the Lord brought us here together.
Yes, I love it.
We've been married for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, a year and a half now.
And we met online, actually. So on a Christian dating app. And similarly to Ralph and Bianca, we sort of dated We say sort of because it was pandemic and it was a very different dynamic. We broke up and then we found each other again, and maybe more than 10 minutes before we got married, but similar story there.
Yes, we matched on another dating app. So we met on 2 dating apps.
Right.
So
2 dating apps brought us together. Christian dating.
they work, guys. They work.
That's a whole class in itself. Just
Right.
teach the people, okay? Teach the people. And Brandon and Emily actually had a podcast episode with us. So whenever y'all have a chance, if y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel, like now, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you hit the subscribe button. But you scroll through and you'll see them. They're beautiful faces on there talking about their story about the 2 dating apps and the situation. So it was a phenomenal episode.
Yeah.
Thank y'all too. Okay. So those are the married couples that came. And so before we were like, you know what? We need some of the single people to come and give us some knowledge and some of their stories and things. So Candace, go ahead and let us know who you are and how long you've been single.
Listen, I'm Candace. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm approaching year 8 on my celibacy journey, like waiting on the Lord. Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Okay.
Oh, and I'm recently an empty nester. Loving it.
Oh goodness. Okay. Look at 16. Awesome. Nathan.
How's everybody tonight? My name is Nathan Johnson. I run a marketing and branding company called New Altitude Media. I feel like I've been single all my life, but I just been recently single, I guess. Just got a relationship maybe 2 months ago. I run a TikTok channel for singles to help them heal, grow, and get closer to God. And I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Thank
And also, Nathan, go ahead and put your TikTok channel too in the comments for folks. That way they can get a hold of you too. And any of the others, you want to put your TikToks on there as well.
TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, we're going to have a little fun because we thought we wanted to do something different for the people. And so right now, we're going to do a little bit of an icebreaker with the married couples. So Candace and Nathan, we'll see you shortly. But Ralph, Bianca, Brandon, and Emily, y'all stay on board. Okay. Cool. And so basically what you're doing here is we're going to give you a series of questions, and you can either point to the person if this applies to them, or raise your hand if this is you. And it might be both of you. So it might be none of you, but we'll see. All right. So
First question?
first question, you want to go?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
it. So who am I asking first?
Well, we don't throw it. We're gonna
Okay.
throw it out, and then they're gonna raise their hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who was interested first? Okay.
Okay. Who said I love you first? Okay.
This is both the men.
Get the men out here in these streets. Who? Oh,
I was about to say you
It's
can
your
take
turn.
that. But who is the better cook? Okay. And then who is more likely to get arrested? Why is that on there?
okay. Hold on. What? Off the mute. Get off. Why do they need to be arrested? Who is why?
No, I didn't say we needed to. You said who's more likely.
Who's more like okay?
Yes.
And why is Brandon? You said Brandon, right?
I mean, I'm just more crazier than she is. So
Okay.
And
makes sense.
he's a little more argumentative than me. So I
Yes.
feel like if he ruffles some feathers,
I'm
like
afraid
a
he's
weird
about to say something.
situation could potentially happen.
That's
Okay.
true.
Okay. All right. Cool. Who is more needy? Wait a minute. We got a conflict at the top.
He said I am, and then it's like we both are.
But Ralph knows. Okay.
Who initiates date night? Okay.
Who is more romantic? Okay, both. Okay.
This one. Who takes longer to get ready in the morning?
Okay, go
I
ahead.
recently went bald, so that takes a while to like that prolongs my getting ready by like 20 minutes. So
Gotcha.
Before the bald, I don't know what the excuse was.
Exactly. We need a whole
It
okay.
just
Yeah.
added extra time.
Extra time on it. Oh my goodness. And last one is who is the social butterfly? All right. Oh, you was answering. Oh, I forgot. I guess we could have answered too.
Yeah,
My
we
bad.
married too.
Okay, well, thank you to the married couples. We were just doing a little bit of an icebreaker for that. Now we're going to remove the marrieds and bring on the singles.
Oh, wrong person.
Okay, so this is a little bit different of how we're doing this. So just play along. All right. So if you could ask God one question about your love life, what would it be? One question.
It's just one, huh?
Just one. Just one chance. You got one shot. Get ready to go.
Oh wow. Why? Why? um, why put me in? I feel like I'm in a rough spot because I'm like in the Michigan area and it's hard out here in the Michigan area right here. So I'm like, why location? So that would be like, God, why this location? Because I ain't getting no matches. Ain't getting no matches out here.
No matches. Just swiping
Just
and nothing.
Just swiping
nothing.
and nothing.
Okay. Thank you, Nathan. Candace,
Yeah,
what
I
you
think
got?
for me, my question would be, God, what's the hold up? What's the hold up, Father?
Father. Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right. I don't
All
know
right,
if you got
I
this.
got it. Yep.
Okay.
Yes or no? Have you ever placed someone in the friend zone or ever been placed in the friend zone?
Absolutely, yes.
Wait, to both of that or just one of those?
Oh, yes, but yes to both. Yes to both.
Okay.
And yes to both too.
Both y'all just sending them and taking it. Okay.
All right. I think we kind of know where this one is going, but rate your singleness. 0 means you're taken or you're with somebody and it could progress to something. And 10 means you single. So from 0 to 10, what is your singleness? Where are you at?
I am a full 10.
Okay.
Full 10.
Okay. We try to help y'all out here. We never know who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, where you at?
I'm 10 too.
Okay.
Big
All right.
1-0. Just 1-0 here.
Okay. All right.
Yes or no? Would you agree to a arranged marriage?
Arranged by God, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good answer.
That is a good answer. I
It is a
want
good
to steal that answer for mine too.
That's a good one.
He said, "I'm doubling down." Yeah,
That's a-
Yeah. I Jesus, he got me. So yeah. I'm go with that one.
That's a good one. All right. Let me see what we're doing on time. We're good. All right. What is one green flag? Just one, y'all. Okay. Green flag you look for on a first date.
I would say for me, chivalry, opening doors, being attentive. Well, yeah, all of that kind of goes together. Paying attention.
That's good. Go ahead.
And I think for me, passionate about Jesus. That's that's green lights right there.
Green lights. All right. Oh,
No, you can do that.
okay. So is this bold or desperate? Slide into the DMs.
That's
Bold.
bold.
Okay.
Yeah, that's bold. I'll say that.
All right.
Would you rather go on a blind date set up by a friend or use a dating app?
Listen, blind date for 200, please. Set up by my friend.
She said, forget the dating app.
I love it.
This is interesting because I don't know how I trust my friends so much. They like to set me up and play games and stuff like that. So I know my friends, although they might have the good intentions and everything, they might set me up. But I trust them on this one. So I'm gonna trust them on that one.
Okay. Cool. All right. And the last one is because we put y'all on black, like we was like, since the singles, we just gonna go ahead and spend longer with y'all. Ideal way to be approached. There's only two ways, I guess, we're presenting to you: in person or online. Ideal way.
I would say in person, but either. I just need somebody to be like very direct.
Ooh,
Clear.
I like that. All right.
I once again agree. Both are cool. I think it's really interesting though because of like where we're at right now. It's easier, and I think you get more online. So it would be kind of cool, like to meet somebody offline, even though that's kind of strange now, But I think that would be preferable. That would be really cool because then that way you already seen a person, you already seen each other, and I think that would be really cool.
All right. Look at y'all doing this icebreaker to the T. All right. Well, thank y'all so much. We'll go ahead and add everybody back on while we're doing that. If you are with us, say hey, tell us where you are joining in from. Let us know you're here. Interact with us. We all family here. We just having fun. And we're thankful that you all came to enjoy this. So let us know if you're here. All right. So we have a short promo of wait, before you do it, I guess we could talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's called the Communication Game Changer. So when DJ and I were engaged, we went through a premarital counseling course. And through that course, we built a system.
Yeah.
Of communication and communicating. And since then, we actually use this system from married even to now. And it's called the Communication Game Changer. And right now it is available for those who are interested in just transforming their communication, whether you are single in a serious relationship, if you're engaged or you're married, this is helpful for you. So right now we're going to do a short promo just to show you a little bit about what it's about. But yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Tools and resources that you can have to help navigate that journey.
Yeah.
So, babe, recently I've been on social media, and as I'm scrolling, I'm seeing a lot of people who are struggling in their relationships. And the main thing is communicating. Like they don't know how to communicate. What do you say about that? What you thinking?
I know a lot of it is mostly geared towards the men and with the lack of communication
Mm-hmm.
and how like, oh, they can't hold one or something like that, or they're not capable.
Yeah. And I think it's just a learning thing. Like when you get together, there needs to be tools and resources that you can have to help navigate that journey.
Yeah.
With communicating.
Some kind of structure.
Yeah, some kind of structure, something that you can go to often and then make your own.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we come into play.
Oh, yeah. We got something for you.
Yeah, we got something called the Communication Game Changer.
Yeah.
It's like a guide that can help you in the season wherever you are, whether you are dating exclusively, you're engaged, or married.
Even single.
I mean, yeah, even if you're single, you can learn. And it's basically a structured question that you can start asking your spouse or significant other.
Yeah.
And I think it can help those who are out there. And it's really a starting point. It's not the ending point. So if you need therapy, go to therapy. But this is a great start.
Definitely a great start, especially y'all having arguments and nobody's listening to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We got some.
And we definitely use this. We use this structure, have been using it for a long time now in our marriage, and it's helped us greatly. So
we just want to share it with you.
We just want to share it with you. So go ahead and click the link in the description to get your copy of the Communication Game Changer. All right. All right. So yes, we will have that in the comments for you to go ahead and click on the communication game changer. Listen, it changed our communication. We have several areas that we go through, about 7 areas that we discuss in there, and we have a sheet available for you to write it down and you can discuss with your partner. And it's just, we do this bi-weekly.
Yeah.
And so it helps us to be able to alleviate anything that may be of concern or just think about the future. So thank y'all so much. Awesome. And so now we're heading to a segment so where, you know, when it comes to dating and the trends out there, we find that, of course, there's culture, right? There's dating culture, something outside of what the Bible says, and there's different perspectives out there. So we have pulled from TikTok, because we know everybody's scrolling all the time, and some of videos that we're going to show. And then this is where we're going to invite the panelists to come and give us their thoughts, a biblical perspective, or just an experience that may be relatable to those who are in the audience. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play it, and then have you all just, well, yeah, the men, I think this first one, we would like the men to kind of chime in. So
Oh, yeah. Hope y'all ready. Are you ready?
why are you making it seem like
I'm just
oh,
saying.
you're ready? You better get ready.
All right.
Insecure of a man not to like or want you to dress sexy in order for you to be his wife.
What's sexy?
What I got on, like what I got on right now.
Oh, let me, I gotta get a good look at you. Let me see, where your shirt at? Kitty, what do you think?
I think that sometimes some of y'all women really don't understand how territorial men are. It's different if you were covered up, but baby, you got tape on. So yes, of course, a man who knows how men are going to look at you, knowing that there's going to be men who are going to be predators or going to pursue you, he's right for saying that. That's not meaning that he's insecure. He's territorial. That's a man's nature, and that's absolutely okay. It's your responsibility as his woman to understand his nature and to also have boundaries with yourself, knowing what you are exposing yourself to. I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna be quick. I'm so glad I can have conversations with my husband, because I asked him, we had a deep conversation. I said, what is it about women that will make you not wife her? And the first thing he said, the way she presents herself. That's coming from a man. Men will tell you that if you dress provocative, they're going to see you as an object. Stop calling men insecure. That is their God-given right to say, I don't want my woman to present herself out here, because not only is she a representation of me, she's a representation of herself.
All right. So that was a clip from tonight's conversation. Now, tonight's conversation, they be on different levels.
Yeah.
So definitely not on the Christian side of things, but they do have great conversation, and we do know that Christian people still be watching them. And so we decided to pull that one. So we would like to hear from the men. What do you think about women, the way they dress? Does that determine a lot of how you're choosing as you're looking for your wife? Just give us your thoughts. Let's see who I could choose first. Brandon, when you were out there back in the day, what was that like for you? Or was modesty something that you looked for?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, modesty was definitely a huge thing I was looking for. I know at that time, which was about 3 years ago, I just assumed that if a woman truly loved, like especially loved Jesus, that's going to, and have like a, personal relationship with Jesus, that's going to like trickle down to all sorts of areas in her life. So so when it comes to the young lady in the video, it seems like she was, she's I feel like she was, trying to seek some sort of validation from men, because she understands that, men naturally, like we gravitate to what we see, and there might be a value issue in her that makes her believe, oh, like if I present myself as quote unquote sexy, then it's going to give me some sort of validation from a man. And I feel like when I was dating at the time, I was looking for a woman that was already receiving that validation from God, and even from people that she is submitted under, and that means like submitted to a pastor or a father. Emily, like she was submitted to her pastor in her church, and what the things that she learned at her church, like she was able to be influenced by this. And I saw in Emily that she was a very reserved person when it comes to like her appearance. And I would say she was sexy and modest. I think modesty is sexy because it actually shows that not only are you like valuable to God, but you also understand that you are valuable. So not everyone can see or experience what you have unless that person is your husband. So that's a huge green flag for me. A red flag is someone that doesn't really understand that value, and that's reflected by how much you're able to like expose yourself to the world. So
All right. Thank you so much, Brandon, for that response. We wanted to hear from just to see what perspective that was from. So any other men want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that. I think that I think we all want to be seen, right? To some extent. I think it becomes unhealthy though when we start really lusting and chasing after that and making that an idol. So when that happens, then we'll do any and everything to be seen. And I think some women and even some guys, they will show a little bit of this or show a little bit of that and kind of sacrifice that just to get that attention, to feel that void in them. Especially like when you don't, well, I guess even when you're in a relationship, but when you're out of relationship, is the likes, is the pictures, is how much can I show so that I can get that attention and be validated, and be seen. It's almost like that's what I'm seeking. That's the love that I'm seeking as well too. And I think that when we understand our identity is found in God and Christ, that we don't have to and I think that's sexy, like he was saying before, like modesty. When you understand like that's where it comes from, that you are already seen by the Father so much that he gave his only begotten son for you, that you don't have to, what I'm saying, present yourself in that way, because I think it is sexy too, because as guys, we are visual creatures. We are, like we are visual creatures. But I think and I can speak for myself, like I like the fact when I think sexiness is a state of mind, right? So like you can be sexy without taking anything off, but you could be well presented and casual. And I believe that's sexy. And I feel like when people don't understand that, they will try extra hard to be something they're not to gain that attention, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you, Nate. I think that's important too. And the one reason why I pulled to the the Christian men too is because we need to hear from y'all also, like what are y'all truly looking for. But I also think it's a call and a responsibility for women to also talk to our single sisters and our even married women too, but because married women can put on things too where we're attracting eyes from where we don't need to attract. But I think it's a responsibility too that we pull women to the side in a nice, respectful way to tell them, hey, if you desire marriage from a Christian man, this ain't the way. right? But I think also culture, and I believe out there some culture conversations, some women, Christian women, do think that Christian men do like this because it has been accepted in the past. So yes, maybe so, but that Christian man has said, I like that. And so they're like, well, let me, just continue on. So I appreciate that. Did anybody else have anything to say? It could be anybody.
Me?
Oh, sorry. I forgot you was here.
Right, gosh. I know I'm quiet, but anyway, for me, during the time I was single, is if it was anything to cause me to stumble or not get close to God, I would most likely just stay away from it, look somewhere else. I'm always like ground or sky, because it's so much going on wherever people's wearing it. That like I'm not judging, but if it's going to cause me to like, ooh, nah, I'm looking away. So that was my biggest like way to combat, basically my eyes from looking anywhere.
And I think too, we need to talk about like when you're in the relationship, when you are dating. So I think once we feel like, well, okay, I got him now, he's with me, we're together, so now I can dress a certain way. And so we kind of have a story, we discussed it on the podcast, where you approached me about what I was wearing in a respectful way.
Not in a bad way.
Not in a respectful way, to say, listen, yeah, so how about
can you it's okay if you don't, but you just cover up the shoulders a little bit,
Yeah. So and I did it.
And it wasn't for like, other men looking at you. It was like, no, it's doing too much for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I want to follow God still. So can we do the shoulders part? If not, that's on you. I'll just look away.
And so we do have
sorry.
People in the chat that have responded. We have James. Thank you, James, for joining us. He says, if a woman exposes herself in public, how can I trust her in a relationship when she is seeking that kind of attention? So that, James, listen, you on point. India, thank you for joining us. India, it can be hard to talk to sisters about this who are defensive. I'll definitely pray on how to lovingly have this conversation, which is important. That's approaching it because there could be defensiveness there.
Communication game changer. There you go.
Well, if you're talking to your sister,
hey, you can same thing.
Okay,
I'll practice it.
Practice. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. Anybody have anything else to say about this one before we move on? All right.
Cool. I kind of had trouble finding my mute button, but anyway, my answer is kind of short and sweet, and I would just like to say that I feel like if a woman really values herself and you think of anything of value, for the most part, you don't really want to let people know. Like, you want to keep it shielded, whether it be jewelry, money, or what, you know what I mean? Just something of extreme value. It's not just on blast like that. So I feel like if a woman values herself and her body, then that's kind of what her philosophy would be. And that to me is also really attractive. So
that's awesome. Thank you, Ralph, so much. Okay, so we have another video we're gonna pop off. So this one, I'm trying to figure out how to say it to where I can prep you for the video. So it's a dating story. Now, we do know that depending on if these people are Christian, we don't know if they're Christian or not, but we can, when you see it, you automatically see like, oh, I might have adjust, but it's not to say that this is not happening. Okay, so we just want to make sure that that's clear before we show the video.
It's happening.
And if it slight trigger warning for some, but it should be okay for this experience. All right, go ahead.
Want to add on any calories to you?
Taking me here.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll get those going and then I'll come back and grab you.
Thank you very much. All right, so I liked what she had mentioned about the scallops. I thought that sounded really good. I'm a big seafood fan, so I think I'm going to do that.
Let me order for you. I'll surprise you. I know what you want.
I hate surprises. You know this place better than me, so.
Yes, I do. You don't want to.
You don't like red wine? Not good hair or something?
Well, you don't want to add on any calories, do you?
No, but I mean, we're on a nice little date, so I think I can ignore it for now.
I'll order you a drink that'll suit what you're looking for.
What the hell am I looking for?
Something with less calories.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, wine does have a lot of sugar. Oh.
I tend to know what women like.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good, because not many guys do.
Well, I'm definitely a cut above the rest.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with.
She's actually going to have what I'm going to have.
What's that?
I'm going to have the.
Either one of you like to add soup or salad tonight?
Yeah, I was gonna do the soup. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Oh my god, I can't even talk. Okay, I can't even order.
Updates it.
But if you don't mind, I'm gonna take care of my bill because.
I do mind. I will go ahead and take care of it.
No. Listen, I've had an experience like this in the past, and I do not want to repeat. So I will definitely.
Well, that's not me. It will not embarrass me.
Okay, it's not an embarrassment. Like I can also just cash out
No,
you.
it is. It's very much an embarrassment.
Okay, don't worry about it. Let's just not make a scene. I forgot you like to open the door. Thank you. That's really nice of you. All right, I'm just gonna run into the car. If that's okay.
No, it's not.
Oh my God. Okay. I could have gotten in there a lot faster if I just ran.
The gentleman has to get the door.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Boundaries.
Oh my God.
Y'all post in the chat what y'all think about this whole situation. If you have anything to say, go ahead and post. This was interesting because it has so many layers to it. One of the questions I asked DJ was, and I don't want to cast blame on anyone because I never want to put a woman in a place of shame of like, I did something. But was there any point in conversations before that led to any inkling of this happening to where his personality was showcasing over the phone, or over a text message, over a chat on the online dating app? So that was one of my questions I had. But for the ladies in there, have you ever experienced this type of situation where a man was like this, or have you heard of any of your single sisters that have had anything like that happen?
Okay, this was a crazy extreme, but I completely agree. It had to have came up in conversation before, where we got that nudge that this seems a little off. I personally wouldn't have taken the date at that point. It wouldn't have got any further than that. But I can say sometimes as a single, you're in this space where like, well, dang, I'm not dating, ain't nothing really going on. It comes a place of maturity of like, no, that was a red flag. That's not even remotely in alignment with what I want. So I'm not going to go on that date. Not placing blame on her, but we have to not ignore red flags because of boredom or because of whatever we're feeling internally in our single season.
So true. So true. Emily, did you have something to add? I didn't know if you had something.
I mean, that was really like triggering, just in the sense of like, oh my goodness, like putting myself in her shoes as this man is like speaking to her in that way and really like dismissing everything that she's like trying to contribute to, like ordering her own food. He's like literally cutting her off as she's like, no, I'm actually like gonna do this. I will say definitely like one of the parts that stood out to me the most, I think that a lot of women to whatever level struggle with is when the bill comes and maybe you aren't having a great time on a date. And I could totally see where she was like, listen, this, for whatever reason, I've stayed to the end of this date and it's been awful. And I'm just going to take my portion of the bill because everything this man is giving me is leading me to believe that if I just let him pay, maybe there's more expectations that he has about how I should be behaving as a result of him covering my meal. Look, I ordered for you. I did this, I did that. I treated you with the utmost respect. Like he's like talking himself up the entire time. And so like that part especially was like, I could see where she was just like, I just want to like put this to rest so that like I can move on and get back to my car, and like I don't owe you anything, you know. And I think like this conversation aside, I think like the whole bill paying thing comes up in a lot of other dynamics for women in dating, where it's like when you're in a situation and you're like, what is the expectation? You know, if I'm not feeling it, like maybe I feel like I should pay so that I don't like offend this person. But yeah, that was a big part of what stood out to me.
Thank you. I think coming from that perspective, yes, I put myself in those shoes too, because I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe he's acting like this. And I have heard from some women that they've had dates like this. And I often, the question is, I often wonder what could have been, how this could have been prevented. Could she have left, you know, then like, I need to get out. Something would happen? Could the waiter, I don't know. Just so different scenarios in my mind came up with this. But of course, I'm sure she blocked him. And whatever they met on, he's not accessible to her anymore. Does anybody else have anything else to add to this?
So I definitely agree with Candace. The date would have ended like just as soon as he started cutting me off and all of that. But remember when you asked the question about who's more likely to get arrested? So I have a cousin group text that they would have all been waiting outside for me, you know, to make sure I'm safe. But just in case, we might have all gotten arrested that night if he didn't let me go. Because I would have ended it. And in that bathroom would have been making that text like, hey, somebody, I need everybody to come get me or whatever. Because that was scary. And it was a dangerous situation for her to stay in. So I would try to get out of that.
And I think that's a safety tip too. Like it's okay to act like, you know, or to call someone. I know that I remember we had safe words or things that we would do. My friend would be like, okay, if I call you or if I text you, call me so that I could say there's an emergency or something like that. And another tip is when you're dating, don't use your real phone number. Get a Google Voice number for free. Okay. Get that and use that as your number so that you won't, you know, you got friends who keep changing their numbers. Like they keep changing after they end the relationship, they change the number. They change the number. You don't have to do that when you got Google. You could change the number through Google Voice, and that has saved a lot of women just by doing that.
It reminds me of I don't know if y'all seen the movie Hitch. It reminds me of the guy who's like real full of himself.
Oh yeah.
And uses Hitch's name like, oh yeah, he set me up with this. Like, no, he didn't.
Great movie.
Oh no, I love that movie. Anyway, the maturity level of the guy is, of course, immature. But the part that I imagine is the lead up to that point, and the reason probably why she didn't see it was he probably hit it well enough to where when he did see her, there was a bunch of things that he didn't like. So he felt like the narcissistic side where, you know what, I'll take control of what you got going on. The mentioning of the calories, meaning something about her weight, you know, basically, I know what women want. I'll take control of this and that. It's giving that same Hitch energy. So that's why I was like it could have gone really bad. Of course, we don't know if he's stalking her or not, but it sounds like he's like he'll be in her bush or around the corner at work.
Not the bush, but yes, she needs some protection. Basically,
she gonna need some pepper spray, the bear spray.
Safety tip: carry the spray.
Yep, carry the spray. That part where they're opening the door, she could have then got in the car and go. Just saying.
Any other safety tips y'all want to put the safety tip in the chat? If you got a safety tip, men and women, because men, y'all got to fight too.
Oh, don't worry. I don't
know if this will still fly, but honest to God, our first date, my cousin went with us. Really? I didn't go by myself because I didn't know him. I was like, yeah, I need you to go with me just in case.
Wow. I didn't find out why until a long time later.
Now, did the cousin sit with y'all or?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Oh, found out later she was there to hit me with a rolling pin if anything went sideways.
Two is better than one.
Listen, and look at y'all now.
But
still together.
Cool, yeah.
I was just gonna say now with like modern dating, like sharing your location with your friends and like just being really clear, like, hey, I'm gonna be at this place with this person. Like, can you make sure to check in with me? Or like I'll text you when I'm home. Like just kind of have like some sort of system where someone knows where you are and like knows to be checking in on you. Especially when we're meeting people online. I just think having that as a precaution. I know I've had some of my own scary experiences where I did have someone that like eventually kind of like cyber stalked me a bit. And so from there, I was like very like, okay, like the information that I'm sharing, even, you know, I love the tip about the Google Voice number because this person like was just clearly like Googling me and finding me on whatever came up and like messaging. And so I think just being really cautious as you're sharing initial information, just like, you know, don't share things that can easily be used in a Google search and can lead to, you know, them finding out information about you. And nowadays, there's so many sites that aggregate like phone numbers, addresses, things like that. So once they have your first and last name, it can be really easy for, you know, that information to just be found. So yeah, safety is something that I'm very like, yes, take all the precautions because even if you're on like 5-6 dates with this person, like you still don't really know them that well yet. So better to be safe.
Thank you so much. We needed all the safety tips and all the things. So we had a few comments that came across, and James said, "Be safe, have accountability partner, and go on double dates." Yes, go on the double dates. That I don't see that anymore. So doing that. Okay. So thank y'all for joining in on this portion of the segments. We decided to do something a little different other than just, you know, starting off with conversation, but just having something to help us with conversation. So next, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about the coaching program that I have. And while Ayana is getting that ready, I'll share a little bit about the reason or the behind the scenes of this. And basically, in my singleness, I struggled a lot because I really didn't know how to date, right? Because if you're growing up in the church, for me, it wasn't taught. It wasn't like I had somebody to pull me to the side and say, this is what you need to do, right? It wasn't the thing. And honestly, churches, we might talk about it, think that we might have it as discussion sermon topics. There may be small groups, but having that one-on-one support. So a lot of times I found myself reading books. I found myself going, you know, watching panels like this and taking notes. And then I found myself taking notes off of podcast episodes and things like that. But I never really had that one-on-one. Now, God is gracious and will be gracious if you don't have somebody to walk with you, because I didn't have that one-on-one. But I want to be that support for the single Christian lady who is out there, who's going in this cycle of like, what should I be doing out here? How do I attract a high quality, not value? We ain't going to the, you know, high vibrations and all the stuff. We don't do all that, but high quality Christian man. Like, what does that even look like? And so in my Date to Mate Academy, is from dating confidence to the future bride. We'll go over key areas over a 6-week period of time. So when you're finished with this, you would have a sense of, listen, I know exactly what I'm doing out here. I know that I'm content. I know that I have purpose. I know how to date with purpose. I know how to have conversations, and what we'll go over scenarios in the coaching session. DJ will be brought along.
Yep.
And we'll be discussing things from a male perspective. We'll talk about what relationship commitment looks like. So when would you say, okay, I'm cool? He did say he was right on it. 6 month before 6 months, I'll say up to 6 months. Like if he passed 6 months and ain't made nothing official, we got some issues. But if before then, do I know for sure that he is somebody that I want to marry? We'll talk about abstaining before marriage. Okay. I know Candace is going to talk about a little bit about her story later. I can't wait to hear about that and what she has to offer as well. But abstaining is so important, right? And how to do that. And then also, what biblical perspective should we be looking at when it comes to this? And then we'll talk about wife and marriage mindset. Again, DJ will be brought in on board, and we'll do that. So if you are interested in this, it starts November 14th through December 19th. Okay. So it's 6 weeks when you're finished. And it's before the new year, ladies, come on. Like, get before the new year in 2025, you're gonna be like, okay, I know how to do this thing. I'm about to go out. I know what I'm doing. So stop the cycle, ladies. So in the comments, will be posted my Calendly link. I want you to book a session with me. Book a session. We'll have 15 minutes. We'll chop it up and we'll talk about where you are in your singleness. And I'll have you give me your 3 pain areas, what's happening. And I know that any women that comes in with me, I know the solution. I know exactly what you're dealing with. I've been there. We're going to chop it up. We're going to talk about it. And I cannot wait to work with you. All right. Thank you, Ayana. And then we have DJ is going to talk about.
We got the men version of that where I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Like, if you got issues, we're going to handle them issues, but I'm not going to be the kind of person where like, oh, you know what? This is perfect for you. We ain't doing that. All right. So my Calendly link will be in there. It'll be popping up whenever. So if you want a consultation about that, you can hit me up.
Awesome. So that is a short thing about that. Okay. Oh, Yana, you got, okay. I didn't know if you had it or not. Sorry. So thank y'all so much for listening to that piece. We're going to move on to something called the hot seat. I wish we had like flames and like fire, you know.
You get what you get.
Okay. We should at least have the sound effect. Why couldn't you get the sound effect? Okay.
Burn, crispy.
So it's called the hot seat. And we named it this because we wanted to put the panelists on the hot seat when it comes to sharing their story. It's kind of like being humble, open, and transparent with their story situations, their overcomings, just getting a little deeper into knowing them and their marriage and or their dating stories. So they're going to spend a little time talking about their overcoming story, their hot seat. So the first couple we'll have going up is Bionica and Ralph. Go ahead and share with us. I'm gonna see if I can make y'all. Okay, nope, that's us.
Big screen.
Yeah. Okay, wait.
So our story. I want to say it had to be. We were married for less than 5 years at this time. I don't know exactly what point, but it kind of ties into the improvement of our financial stewardship because we needed a vehicle. So when we got together, we had a van. It was a white Mercury Villager. I remember like specifically just how it was. And it had its ups and downs. You know, most of the stuff was, you know, minor repairs, and we were kind of limping it along. And then finally it started having this overheating problem. And we tried a few different things. I mean, a few of the fixes I even tried myself. There's like this radiator leak stopper you can pour in, and supposedly it'll dissolve and seal it up. So we tried that. That didn't really help. We tried changing the thermostat. That's another like easy fix that a do-it-yourself person can do. And finally, we ended up taking it to a mechanic, or he actually came out. He did mobile mechanic work because it was to the point now where you wasn't really sure if it was going to get you from point A to point B without overheating and, you know, having to deal with that whole situation. So he came out, he did some work on it. It didn't get any better. I think we ended up being talked into allowing us to bring the van to his shop. And it just seemed like it just went downhill, like every time he touched it, and it to the point where the van was just no good anymore. So we needed a vehicle due to just in our youth, like we were what, 22, 21 when we got married.
Had kids, and so we're just trying to figure it out, trying to stay on top of
just trying to stay on top of things
without this vehicle situation.
So just in the process of being young, you know, we probably bought the 11 CDs for a penny and then pay for them or whatever. Long story short, our credit was just worthless.
Horrible.
We could not get any kind of financing from any source whatsoever to get a vehicle, and we really needed a vehicle like desperately. And we got to the point where we thought we had found somebody that was going to finance us, and it just didn't work out, and we ended up needing a co-signer, and my parents weren't going to co-sign. I don't think really anybody. Go ahead.
So the people that we thought might do it, we made calls. He's like, I'll try this person. I tried this person. And I remember, nobody knows me here, but I am not a crier. But when I got off the phone with one of those people, I just cried. Like, it's just not going to happen. We're just not going to I don't know what we're going to do. But we finally called one last person. And I don't know why, because I definitely, where I am now, would be like, absolutely not. But she did. She had faith in us. Even still to this day, she's just like, it's just like one of her favorite couples, and she's always just there, when we need her. But she co-signed for us. And I don't know if it was from that day on, but like I kind of put everything into like, no, we're going to get this credit together. We're going to do what we need to do.
On time.
We're going to, I think I consolidated debt, but like, so that was back then. And it was one thing that we didn't let it do, though. It didn't like bring a wedge between us. It kind of probably made us closer that we had to go through that together.
Mm-hmm.
But then just fast forward to 2021, we're able to get a vehicle with 0 interest. No co-signers, just us. Like we made that a choice to like steward our money right. And we've always paid tithes and everything. And I definitely think, that a part of our, not that we're rich, but our just being successful and able to do the things that we need to do is because we've always given, one, in the church, but two to people, and been, what people needed in the time that they needed. So that's kind of something.
Yeah, and I can give, like, as far as paying our bills and stuff, it's kind of twofold. One is just she's very disciplined and firm, and like she's gonna stick to this path. This is what we're gonna do. And the other is just kind of thinking back to hearing stuff that my dad told me, even before I was even an adult, living at home and everything. It was real important to pay people and pay people on time. And if you did accumulate a bill and you wasn't able to pay the whole bill, just communicate. And likewise with saving, the philosophy I think that most people have is that I don't have enough to save, so I'm gonna just spend it until I have enough to save. And saving is all about just as little, whatever it is, and there's no amount too small to save. The old saying, the penny saved is a penny earned. It could literally be a penny, but that's a penny that you don't have to worry about trying to go out and find, or that you spent or whatever. And that philosophy is really, I think that's also helped us. For lack of a better word in this moment, I would say karma, which I don't really like believe in karma, but just as an example, I think just when you put it out there that you're attempting to do the right thing with the things that you were stewarding over, I think good things just come back to you.
No, I thank you for that. I think the stewardship is huge when it comes to that. And I like how you said you all were able to start managing. You started managing your money well. And I think in the first, I don't know if anybody else can attest to this, even the other couples on here, but when you first get married, your finances, like blending those finances together is one of the toughest.
Yeah, you get that.
And imagine doing it as kids with kids.
Yeah.
With kids.
And we had kids. And it was just like, how do we do this?
How do we do this? But I'm glad that y'all are able to do that now. Like y'all able to figure it out, or it's been figured out, and that y'all are able to get that car with, you said no interest?
At 2021, that was the first time I bought a brand new car. And we probably could have before, but I was like, back before 2020, you could buy a nice cash car and it would last. And the last time something happened to my car, I was like, oh, cash cars are the same as new cars. Let me get a new car. And so, yeah, we were able to get a car with 0 interest.
Okay.
Wow. And that's just the journey.
Yeah.
The journey. So if it's rough, it'll get better. Anything you want to say?
Look, it ain't gonna be easy for marriage. A lot of people think it's a nice little, item to have. Like, no, it's a full adventure, and it's gonna be ups and downs. And one thing my dad told me that money is the top thing for divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go through some money issues,
Yeah.
especially when you blending in both accounts, the way you spend money, the way you save money. It's like personalities trying to mesh together. There's going to be some issues. That's why y'all both need to get on the same page.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one reason why it's so important to get the help.
Yes.
Like, we talk about therapy a lot, which I believe go to therapy, but also get financial therapy. Like, find a way to get whatever it is that you need worked out. And this is why it's so important. Also, we tell couples to figure out what finances are looking like before you get married and what that looks like. Of course, when you get married, it's still going to be a doozy. Like, you can't never be perfect, but at least you know. At least you know. Go over all the bills, all the stuff, because stuff popped up later with us. That was on the podcast episode too. Yeah. But I didn't know. I'm like, what is this?
Outside of the money, just conflicts and hard times, just also trying to allow it to push you guys closer together than to like pull you apart. Because that is something, like you said, money can pull people apart so easy. But, looking back, as young as we were, it definitely could have just been like, oh, we can't, it's not going to work. But we made, I don't know how it drew us closer. Maybe it was just God. Like, that was all in the plan to get us, closer and get us on the same page in other areas as well.
That's good. That's good. Well, thank y'all so much for your hot seat moment. Flames emojis. Burn, crispy.
Drop some fire in the chat.
There you go. Drop the fire in the chat, y'all. Fire in the chat. That's what we need. Okay, for some interaction. All right. Next up is Brandon and Emily. Hot seat. Drop a fire in the chat.
Hello. Just for clarification, what was the question again? I'm having too much fun. I forgot we're on the panel.
It's basically your vulnerable story, and let about 5 minutes or less. Just basically something that you both overcame. It could be in dating or it could be in marriage. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you were right.
Thanks. Emily's always right. What are you talking about? Emily's always right.
You want to lead off with the Lydia and Rishi wedding story?
Sure. Yeah. So I think what comes to mind for me is one of our, I guess, the most explosive argument we had was a few months ago. We were invited to a wedding, and I actually was not sure if I was going to be able to attend the wedding because I'm also in the National Guard, and like the weekend of the wedding, which the wedding was going to be in Virginia. So it was this whole, like, we would have to travel. Like, it wasn't just like I could drive an hour and then come back. So I was supposed to have like a whole training event with the military that weekend. So like, as we were considering like the options of like, should you just go alone? Like, should you not go? Like, some like feelings definitely came up because as we were having that conversation, like I was feeling like really upset because I really wanted to go to the wedding with him. Like, this is the first wedding that we were invited to after our wedding. So we were like really excited. Like, we want to celebrate our friends and we want to like, somewhat selfishly like be at a wedding where you're not stressed out and like have to like entertain everyone. Like, we were like, yeah, we can just go and, have fun. And then when the date conflict came up, I was kind of wrestling with like a little bit of the FOMO of like, I'm not going to get to go type of thing, but also just like from the perspective of like us being a married couple and this being a wedding, like it feels even worse to be like separate and for him to be like in another state, like while I'm like going to my military commitment and just like missing out on this and missing out on like him being near and things like that. So I kind of like had a little bit of an assumption that he might be willing to like not go to the wedding, even though I was like, I don't want to necessarily like ask him to do that. But at the same time, like I kind of like, I don't know how I would feel if he went and I couldn't go type of thing. So it created like a conversation because that my expectation of that kind of came out. And then he obviously had some feelings about that maybe you can share.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all coming back to me now. All right, yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting situation. Yeah, so I felt at the moment that I had some resentment towards her because I felt like she should be happy for me that I get to go to this wedding, and she shouldn't. And I've at that time specifically, I'm thinking, oh, I think she's being very like selfish that she won't allow me to have fun at the wedding, because like she won't be there at that time with me at that time. And that was what was going on with me internally. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm in the right here. I'm the right person here. And this is a mindset that you definitely want to either kill before you get married, or kill, or is going to die while you're in the marriage, or at least allow it to. So I'm thinking, yeah, like I should. This seems to make sense. Like you go to drill, and then I'll represent us at the wedding. And I wasn't thinking that. I don't think my mind was resonating with her feelings at the moment, because I'm not the one that is obligated to go and serve. And I'm not the one that has to miss the wedding. So I felt like I was actually the selfish person. I felt like at a certain point I realized, I was actually the selfish person, and not really like taking her feelings into account, and really like empathizing that, first of all, she loves to do things together. I remember when we first got married, we wanted to have like dinner all the time together, because like she's more of an experienced person. And you know I I'm learning to be that as well. So I had to kind of like swallow my pride, and kind of just give up that feeling of being right. And I wasn't right. I was being totally selfish, and not taking her feelings into account, and kind of just deciding like, hey babe, like there'll be another wedding. I don't have to go. I'd rather just stay home. And when you get back from drill, then that Sunday we can spend that Sunday together. Because I realized that what's the poke.
There's more to the story that I feel like there's more.
Okay.
So in the middle of all of this,
Oh yeah, you go to the
with
middle,
all
yeah.
of the heightened emotions, I don't know and it's not helpful for me to remember exactly what you said, because I may have just heard it and taken it a certain way.
Oh yes, that
But
part.
he
yeah,
said
that
something, and what I heard was like something like, you never or you always do XYZ. Like whatever he said, I heard it in that manner. So I was like, hey, like I really don't appreciate that you like said XYZ. Like that doesn't feel fair to me. Like that doesn't feel right, or whatever. And he was like, I didn't say XYZ. And so it just turned into like, he stood his ground, like, this is not what I said. And I was like, this is what I heard though. Like, and these are all my feelings. And so like,
Yeah.
he dug his feet in to the point where I felt truly in that moment, even though I 100% like trust Brandon's intentions, I felt like I was being gaslit in that moment, because I was like, I feel like I really heard this and I wasn't getting any like validation. So like I raised my voice at him, like for a very brief moment. And that's the only time it's ever happened. And first of all, it was like shocking to me, because we never have that type of conflict. And then of course he was like really like understandably very offended, and like it was just a very like, he went and took a shower, like kind of like silent treatment, like you will never talk to me like that. He was like, don't ever talk to me like that type of thing. And I'm like sitting like crying, like how did it get this heated and everything like that. And so we were able to, you know, eventually resolve that where, you know, I guess like you kind of like allowed room for this like unknown of like whatever words were said didn't really matter at the end of the day. It was like, for me, it was like, this was just how I was reacting to what you said.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was being dismissed and shut down. And I just like needed to be heard in that moment.
Because like, because at that moment, like, you know, because even at that moment, even before that moment, like tensions were already rising. So like, I probably said what you heard. I probably didn't hear it myself. So I was like kind of confused. And then, you know, I felt like when she raised her voice, like my mind really went back to like how my mom would like raise her voice at me for something that I didn't think that I did, but I'm just like, what's happening? And at that moment, like she said, like I had to, you know, take a shower and pause and, you know, realize at that moment was that, you know, I had to give up some level of pride, even if I feel like I'm right, even if I feel like I'm in the right. Like I had to, like we both of us had to realize that like what is most important is our connection. And I guess to the end of the story, it was like I'm willing to not go to the wedding, and spend and wait for you to come home from your service, and we'll have that, we'll spend that weekend, the rest of that weekend together, even though it was a disappointing, well, at the moment it was disappointing. I realized that I wanted to what's the other poke?
No,
oh, sorry.
That wasn't an intentional poke.
I was because I kind of ramble, so but yeah, I realized at that moment I realized like, okay, I want to love my wife, and I want to actually empathize with what she's feeling, and kind of like for a moment kind of get out of my feelings for a moment. And then
And also like simultaneously, I also was kind of like able to meet him in his perspective. And I know I also was like, I would be okay with you going to the wedding. Like I remember we were looking at flights, like, and things like that. Like, how much would this cost for you to go without me, and things like that.
So she basically was giving up the idea that I would stay, and I basically give up the idea that I would go. And
then God intervened literally, and my weekend that I was supposed to be at drill, like literally like the next day or 2 days later, I got an email like, oh, there's a conflict, like we have to move the dates. So we ended up go to the wedding together.
Oh my goodness. Like that story, I felt like I went through a whole episode. Y'all was able to tell it really like and walk us through. Honestly, what I heard in your discussion, I heard sacrifice. I heard, of course, in that you were able to know what level you got to, Emily, because I think early on, or even when you're dating, you might not, of course, because tensions are high, you're now living together. Same situation. I won't go into detail, but basically where I did yelling, and I've never did that before. And I was like, what am I doing? Like I had to check myself, and I realized how much I felt that I hurt him the way I did it. And it wasn't nice. It was very mean, like, and that's not godlike. And so that's where you see where the enemy can infiltrate. Sure, I'll go with that. Hopefully, the marriage, what could have happened if you let the separation happen, but you all were able to find a resolve.
Oh, don't worry. I wasn't gonna let you see my old me. That's why that moment I was like, okay, let me go ahead and walk away before you see something you don't need to be seeing.
Yeah.
So we did talk that out though.
Yes.
Talked it out, worked it out, fixed it.
Good. Well, thank y'all so much for sharing that story. Y'all who are listening, make sure y'all comment. If y'all listen, y'all hear some nuggets, go ahead and place a comment in the chat. Again, we have Q&A session after we go through the hot seat with everyone. So if you have a question that you're wanting to hear, or that you want an answer to, rather, you want to answer to about dating, about relationships, about marriage, whatever it may be, go ahead and place it in the chat and we'll make sure we get to it. All right. Next person on the stage is Nathan. Here it comes.
Hey.
Hey.
So the crazy thing about this question for me is, I think we spoke about it earlier, and I ran back and forth in my mind to like really give like a story or an answer to the question, or kind of like the sum up, because sometimes it's hard to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's hard to be open, and transparent. Like I think like people say it, but when you bear all, when you are to put yourself out there, you definitely have to, it takes honesty and a strength in order to do that. And it made me think about where I am right now, because I had a bunch of other stories that I wanted to share, but something that just, I believe God just like leading me to be transparent in this moment, of where I'm at right now in my life. Because for me, I came from like something I thought was it. And I don't know how many people out there in the chat thinking, or watching, have ever felt so let down and felt so disappointed, you know what I'm saying, with everything that you believe was on the line. You're like, all right, finally I got this and that and we're ready to go, But I think what I learned from it is God is perspective and understanding that how to look at disappointment as God ordering your steps, and understanding that he has to close some doors so some other doors can open. And understanding like at the end of the day, like, yes, a lot of us desire marriage, but that's not the true end game, right? There's a purpose. I truly believe that you come together for a purpose that God has created you for, and it's not just romance, but it's advance of the kingdom, right? So, so if that is the case, that we are coming together, is not so much the end game that marriage is, but it is the journey that we need to see as the reward, not, when you get to that point, because every ceiling is a floor to something else. Right. So if it's not ending there, because I know I've never been married, but I can throw it out there that marriage is not it might be the ending, but really the beginning to something else, And so like knowing that for those who go through, because I was like, man, I feel like to share where I'm at, and I felt like I'm in a pruning stage, right? And I'm not sure, like I said, how many people have ever felt that, because my whole thing when I do a breakup or, get broken up with, or whatever the case may be, my go-to scripture is like John 15, I believe, when God is talking about pruning and cutting back, right? And cutting away of things, because in order to get you to more fruit and fruit that will last, he has to cut you. So we go through situations in which maybe our heart is broken. Maybe we are cut back in some places and we're like, okay, I wanted that fruit. Right? I wanted that branch. Why are you cutting away? But understanding that even if you don't like the cutting, you can trust the hand that has the scissors, because he knows exactly where he needs to cut you in order to bear fruit. And at the end of the day, you want to bear fruit, because once this is done, and as all of us go through this season, it's my thoughts that the tree that he's working on, the branch that he's working on with, it is to bring forth fruit. But that the tree doesn't need the fruit. The person who's hungry for So when you do, like a lot of us, we're getting pruned to grow fruit for our partners in a different season. So we got to allow God to cut on us now, and give us those experiences now and get that healing now, so that we can give to and be the greatest version of us in the next season of all, right? As we continue to, like I said, to go to purpose with our partner. So I feel like understanding and knowing your location now, and knowing where you're at now, you can always be vulnerable and open and transparent with God and say, God, this is where I'm at. I'm not to stay here, but this is where I'm at now, and I can trust you with that, right? And being able to be that with others is such a blessing. I'll say this, and then I'll pass the mic. We'll be here forever. But so my channel, I did this channel. It was originally called Beautiful, Attractive, Sexy Singles. It had this big old long title, right? In the beginning, because I wanted those words so people heard it and read it, it made them feel good, right? But when God was shifting me, I believe he placed on my heart to like change it to Purposeful Singles, right? So I guess I'll still say beautiful every once in a while, but I'll say Purposeful Singles, because I truly believe that we are where we're at, not by happenstance, but God has a plan and he has a purpose for all of us. And so if he's placed you in a relationship, you're there on purpose. If he placed you to be single, you're there on purpose, because we're all there and where we need to be. It's not an accident. Like God didn't say, oops, you know what I'm saying? As much as you can like try to hold on to things, if he's calling you to be single for a minute, then that's what we need to be. And I believe our thoughts is, okay, we're here, whether we're in relationship or single, on assignment. So it's like, God, help us to complete our assignment. Help us, and no matter what it is, to get to what he wants us to be. So that's my thoughts, the answer to that question.
Man, I love that so much, Nathan, what you said. So basically you saying that we need to hurry up and get your wife. Let me go make a call or two. No, I'm just no, but I liked how you said that, because we do evolve in different seasons, and in every season that there's a purpose for that season.
Yes.
And I think we sometimes think we're supposed to be doing the same exact thing in the next. Right. But if you're not following God, you won't know what he wants you to do. Exactly. So you're wondering, like, why am I not bearing fruit right now? Right. Well, because you're not doing what God told you to do. You're out of alignment.
You didn't say.
You're out of alignment. So until you get back into alignment, then you'll start seeing that. You'll start working. And like you said, it's not just in relationships. Yeah. It's when you're married. Like we have to find out what season it is for us. Mm-hmm. And then individually, it's so important. So this is why it's so important to know yourself before. When we say know yourself, we're not saying, oh, I got brown eyes. Oh, I like my hair. No, who are you? Right. like literally, who are you? How does God see you? How do you see you? How should you be seeing you? And so it's so important. So go ahead. If you have anything to add.
No, it's just when you said that, I automatically thought of zodiac signs. You're not that.
Yeah. What?
You're not a rabbit.
What? You're not a rabbit?
Put God first. That's my answer.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave that alone. All right. All right. Thank you, Nathan. All right. Last but not least, go ahead and scroll it down. It's not doing that for me. Last but not least, we have Candace up to the stage to be in the hot seat. Put your flames in the fire emojis in the chat.
Yes, I definitely have a story.
Okay, go ahead, girl.
So I remember after getting saved, maybe like 2 years after I met this guy, literally, I'm like, this is the guy. And it brings me back to what you said about, not learning how to date. I was in that place. And so what ended up happening was we talked every day, multiple times a day, long periods of time. So 2 weeks into me communicating with this person, there was a clear emotional attachment that happened. And so again, remember, this is my first experience after Christ. So I'm not understanding what's happening in this space, right? I didn't have the wisdom to know that, hey, this is an emotional attachment. Long story short, this wasn't my person, but there was purpose in me meeting him and having this experience because I gained wisdom from it. The reality is that a lot of us will be in these, talking phases with people, getting to know them, and we're creating emotional attachments because we don't have the wisdom or the boundaries in place to navigate that space. So that really, I remember this literally, I felt like it was destroying me in the moment. I remember being on my bedroom floor, just crying and praying to God, like, why is this happening to me? I remember distinctly saying to God, I might as well have slept with him because the emotional attachment hurt worse than actually engaging in intercourse. Literally, this is what I said to God. And so we began to dialogue about it. And he began to use that space to heal me from that. Because obviously, this was a pattern in me as it related to relationships. And this is part of the reason why I would go from relationship to relationship. And these weren't good people. I was doing the same thing after Christ that I was doing before Christ, and it was ineffective. It always was, but God needed me to see that that was ineffective. And so to me, what felt like rock bottom. And I'm like, God, okay, what are we doing here? What do you want me to do? Show me what is happening, what's in me. And literally, he began to reveal me to me. And the offense that wanted to rise up in that space, because it was just like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? Because I remember God really revealing to me that I can't give you my son now because there is adultery on your heart. You are idolizing marriage. It will destroy you. He cared about me so much that he told me what I didn't want to hear but needed to hear and gave me space to correct. So in that place, I literally began to heal, correct my vision, make sure it was aligned with Christ, obviously repented, and begin to focus on God, not on marriage, not on, okay, I'm ready for this. I've been saved 2 years. What's going on? My focus literally had to shift, right? And that's not fun. Being single when you're a girly that's used to being in some sort of relationship. And I'm like, God, I've been okay for 2 years in my singleness. Why did this have to happen? It had to happen so I could see me. And so that takes me to us within our singleness, taking that time to heal. There is so much God began to reveal about me that I would not have been able to stomach 2 years prior. Revealed to me, daddy issues, insecurities. And God was literally saying to me, I don't want you bleeding on my son. I don't want you bleeding on my son. And I want you in just the optimal health, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of those things. And I'm like, okay, God. So when I shifted my mindset as it relates to that, and Holy Spirit really began to deal with me, I was able to really pursue wholeness in a way where my gaze did not shift from God. And you know what happened? The people, the men who used to try to pursue me did not, because they saw a light on me where they knew, you know what? I'm not even about to waste my time. I'm not even about to waste my time. And so sometimes I was saying like, dang, nobody? But God was prepping me. There is such a light. And a man had randomly said that to me, like, it wasn't that he said I'm not good enough to pursue, but he knew like we're not equally yoked, essentially. So I'm not even going to waste your time because there is something about you. Right. And so we have to understand the absence of people trying to talk to you is not anything wrong with you. So he really was cultivating me to just stay in my lane, grow and develop here into who he has called me to be, the wife he has called me to be. More importantly, in my single season, the individual he has called me to be. And the lessons that came out of that have been beautiful, hard, but beautiful. So yes.
Good. You didn't gave a whole sermon. Listen, my goodness, like you are epitome of what I be trying to tell the single women out here. Like, I should just put you in a box and then let you go. Like, so it's amazing. No, your story is something that we all need to hear, because I don't think we hear it enough about what healing looks like. It's always said, you got to go heal. You need to go do that. But what does that look like? Do you have an offense that you have? Do you have do you have unforgiveness issues? Do you have daddy issues, mommy issues? There's mother wounds, out there. Do you have like all those things? Like, and if you don't know, go seek therapy to find out what may be in there. Okay. So you can bring it up. And so I really appreciate you for sharing that, and how you said basically you doing that was a block to the men. Y'all, the healed version of you will attract the man you want, right? Like that's the key. And you're like, I don't know why. I just thought that I just can't, girl, heal. Okay. And then get back out there and then just see what happens. And you still may fall. It still might happen, but get back on track. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Candace. So because you're the last hot seat, flame emoji, yay, burn. We have your what you're offering to the audience, the women out here, and we're going to have Ayana show it in a minute, but go ahead and share a little bit about what you have going on for the people.
Yes. So the Lord had put on my heart to do a reviving celibacy program. And so it's not about celibacy specifically. The focus is on pursuing the healed version of you, because there are a lot of perspectives we've learned from seeing our mothers, just our environment, just in general, that have contributed to us finding ourselves in this cycle of relationships. And as I mentioned earlier, when you're not healed, it attracts just what you don't want, and you're trying to figure out like what is going on. So one of the things that God has shown me, I had a lot of unforgiveness of myself because of the things that I had done, and that was hindering me from moving forward. Now, I went years without knowing or realizing that, right? And so just think about how unforgiveness impacted me in relationships, right? It puts you in a place where you're accepting things that you weren't meant to accept, making yourself small in spaces where God called you to shine bright. So really it is such a mindset shift. So we're working on those things of just your mindset. What cycles have you noticed yourself in? What did you learn? What did your environment teach you about relationships that has essentially, sometimes we'll see like bloodline things happening. Well, everybody sleeping with married men, or everybody, those sorts of things. That's not by happenstance. That's something that needs to be addressed. And so really this is a space of healing so that you can be whole, so that when it is your time for a relationship and marriage, you are bringing your whole self to the show. You hear what I'm saying? Whole, healed, and happy. So you're not bleeding on this other person. And so the celibacy comes in because it literally clouds your judgment when you're having sex with people outside of marriage, period. It clouds your judgment. You know what I mean by that. You're not making sound decisions. Then you're in a position where anything is going. And so really we want to take that off the table so people can give an opportunity to see like the difference in pursuing wholeness in that manner, and the clarity that they're going to experience, because I'm telling you, you're going to experience clarity. This is not a program that's just for people who are believers. Like this is for any woman who's like, I got to do something different. This is not working. It's 10 weeks. It's a free program I'm doing. We do an individual counseling session first, and then it'll be 10 weeks of group It is virtual. I do have an in-person option if enough people sign up. The signups are for the month of November. So about mid-November, I'll probably close it because we're only going to be open to 10 women. And then my book, From Destruction to Freedom, is really my testimony. It's my story of deliverance, of how God literally just took me through healing, the brokenness I experienced. And I wanted to share that because there is a light at the end of this. You know, all of the pain, everything that you have experienced, there is purpose in that if you give it to God and allow Him to use it. So, yes.
That's so good. Listen, y'all better get the book and enroll in this 10-week program. Candace, can you let us know where you're located? You said in person. Where are you located?
Yes, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. So specifically for the in-person will be in Creve Coeur.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure to include that. Woo, this hot seat. Goodness. All right. We done.
The sizzle sounds.
The sizzle. Go ahead and bring everybody back on stage.
Oh,
so yes, thank you so much. We just wanted to offer this time for the panelists to be able to share a little bit about them, offer some encouragement to the audience out there, or just to see have a peek into their lives. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and open and honest, y'all. I know sometimes it's hard to do so in front of just strangers, like you don't know who's listening, but y'all did it. Thank you so much. So right now is the time for Q&A. Yay! Yay! So if you're on with us, post your question in the chat for the live Q&A. We'll be going answering your questions. So if you have questions about dating, singleness, if it's about marriage, like what will happen, how to handle, whatever it may be, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll make sure. But we have some questions already that we have to roll off of. So we're going to get started with those. And I think the one I want to roll to, because of Candace, when you're talking about the celibacy journey and what that looks like. And I know that there are those, when they get into relationships, they still struggle, right? They still struggle because it's like, I didn't held so long. Now we're in this somewhat intimate space. And how do I navigate this? So I want to touch on this topic of if there's a couple that they're both believers, they both believe in Jesus, they're Christian, but they have fallen off. Yeah, they've fallen off the journey where they messed up one night, 2 night, 3 night, whatever it may be. What is the advice you would give them? Should they break up? Should they stay together? What are some things you think that this couple should be doing? And they both desire marriage, they do, but yet they just fallen off a little bit. So any advice you would give to this particular couple or couples out there, maybe what you think of maybe those who are trying to stay abstinent before marriage? Anybody?
We can share.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, depends on the context of their lives, right? I'm wondering who is counseling them. Like, what do they have? Are they friends with another married couple? Or do they go to a local church? Do they go to the same church or separate churches where they're seeking counsel from or discipleship from older couples? Also, I would question, like, did they set any boundaries for themselves in their relationship? I know for me and Emily, when we were dating, like one of our boundaries was that we weren't going to be together at a certain point in the night. So preferably after 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., we go our separate ways, and we wouldn't be in the same room together alone, because that's an area of temptation that can spark into something that's like unholy. So I'd question, like, do they have any boundaries that they set for each other? And if they did, what boundaries would they be able to set for each other? I wouldn't go as far as like having them break up, but kind of just helping them give vision for how they want to live holy lives as singles before and then allow them to navigate that in a relationship.
Any other folks want to chime in about what couples can do, maybe to set boundaries, or if they have fallen off, what can be done for them?
Can I just add on to
Yeah.
what he was saying?
Go ahead.
Because I think what he's saying is so true, because I think that we need accountability. And I think to have, like he's saying, a couple to like hold them accountable. Well, two things: hold them accountable, and the second thing is like if they're continuing to fall, then there must be patterns going on. And I would say even to speak about those patterns to the couple or to the couple and like to see where is that the case was, because they said like at 10 they weren't going to be together, so maybe they are staying together to about 10 or 11 or 10, 15, whatever the case may be. There is some repetition going on. So it's like to be honest with each other and saying, okay, where is this going off the tracks? Where is our pattern that we're falling into sin? And how can we navigate across that? How can we do something different and just be really intentional about living for God in this relationship? Because we all want. I heard something that was really interesting today, and they were saying how we all want, or we want to say God is the center of our relationship, but some of us, God is a part. He's not the center. If he's the center, he's touching everything, right? So he's touching everything, but our part is not touching everything else. So like understanding if like we're going to have a Christ-centered, godly-centered, then he's going to be in all of our decisions all the way around, including this one as well too. So like setting that, like this is what we're going to do. This is where we found our patterns, and then asking for help, asking for accountability.
That part.
That is, I think it'd be helpful.
That's so good. That's so good. Anything, what would you recommend for a couple that may be struggling?
Oh, definitely the boundaries. That's usually the strongest part to combat that. I know we had our boundaries. So a lot of them was set for myself. I'm just glad she went along with it. But the biggest one I brought up before in the podcast and stuff is the vampire hours. It's the same thing you were saying with the after 10. Mine was when it got close to dark. So like today, it got dark close to 6 something. It would have been 6 something. Nope. I remember one time I left something in her apartment and I would not go in there. I'm like, it's right there. She's like, you could come in and get it. No, like you go get it. It's your place.
He did that for real.
Yeah. During certain times, wouldn't call. Like it was not like I said earlier. It was more to protect me from falling. It wasn't about
and me.
Well, of course, ain't you.
But
you was a part of that. But
I know.
it was mostly for me because you was like, I'm fine. I'm not. So boundaries will be like the strength that I will like provide. Like, okay, what are y'all doing to say if you're going to travel or something, like are you going to separate rooms? Are you driving separately or flying there separately? Like what to the extent are you going to protect your relationship with God?
Yeah.
And not worried about what your flesh is thinking, like, oh, we'll be fine if I just sleep on the floor. Really? Are you going to be fine? No. Because temptation's still going to be there. You have to go kind of like far in order to protect that.
Yeah. And I think the ultimate thing is fighting the flesh.
Yeah.
Like, what does that really look like? And they're like, I believe Nathan, you said it, like the pattern, there's a pattern there. There's something there that's causing this to pop up. and to happen again, especially if it's multiple times. Like, what is that pattern? But how are we fighting this? Like, what does that even look like? And so I would suggest even to separate for a while, to where there is a phase to where there isn't any, you can still communicate, but as far as physical, seeing each other, you might need to step back, because if apparently physical and y'all touching somehow and it goes to the, so y'all need to step back. But also individually finding the accountability, praying, and even to the next extent is to fasting. A lot of times that's the biggest way. Food now, food, and y'all can do food and social media, all the things. But some people, I'm just gonna do a social media fast. Okay, that's fine. But y'all know some of the foods y'all eat that would truly fight. Okay, so fighting the flesh means that much, and sometimes we do it only once a year because our church does it, or it's the thing, the Daniel fast and the this and the that. But nah, like for real, like if y'all do it, I believe that you'll be able to see firsthand like what is causing all of this, and they'll be able to kind of handle it faster. So that is something that I think I would give as advice to. Anybody else want to chime in?
I have something else that's on my mind as well, is like, as you repent and turn away from this behavior, like truly receiving forgiveness and walking in that freedom, because I feel like shame can really just keep you in the spiral and in the cycle. And so I think like whatever that looks like in, whatever counsel you receive and whatever people you're surrounding yourself with, and who you're sharing this information with, and obviously how you're approaching God with this, like, just recognizing the great mercy and depth of God's love and forgiveness over you, and walking in that.
That's so good. That's so good. All right. Let's see if we got anybody that commented. James was like, reevaluate. I know we already showed it, but reevaluate your motives, set boundaries, repent, and guard your heart. So important. Thank you, James, for that. All right. Any other questions from y'all? Please drop it in the chat. Let's go to another question. Let's go to another type of question that I see a lot. Is dating in the church, but also for the women, I've heard some little bit of complaints of where are the single Christian men that are available in the church? Like, are they there? I know they're there.
I've seen them.
I've seen them serving. I've seen them doing things, but where are they? Are they there? Are they approaching women in the church? Are they going elsewhere? I don't know if the men maybe can touch on this a little bit, but I feel like a lot of women who do go, and of course, there are a lot of women, more women in churches nowadays than men. The church we go to, there's a lot of singles in the church, men and women. A lot more women we do see, but how can we navigate this journey? Where are the men at? Are they approaching women? Maybe I could just go with that question.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go with that question. All right, go ahead. Take it away, whoever.
That last part, are they approaching women?
Oh.
Nope. Come to church. Leave.
Sorry, I didn't know you were talking.
Oh, my bad.
Are you talking?
I was just going.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
What part was I muted at?
I don't know. I didn't know if you was just waiting for somebody to pop up.
No, I was saying men in church don't approach, at least what I've seen. The complaints on the men's side are more of either they're getting overlooked, or it's just there's no kind of like attraction there. So a lot of them, either just come to church and head out, especially with with everything going on as far as all the negative talk going online, and the influence of TikTok and YouTube and everything like that. So a lot of men are discouraged, especially when you see them in church. It's like they're not really into that. So it's like, come to church, go home.
Okay. All right. What y'all got? Anybody else?
See, I love me a little go to church and come home. I think that when there is a man in the church that like I'm interested in, I feel like it'll be a distraction for me. Like I know me and I want to be focused in that space. So I definitely understand, but I also know I'm probably not going to meet my husband at the church, and that's all right. I'm going to be outside in Jesus' name, to be seen, having a good time, of course, in Jesus' name. So I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on him not being in the church, because I don't know if I want to date somebody in my church. I mean, go to the church down the street, because it can get too messy, especially if people know you're dating. It can start to be like these external pressures when the reality is like, is this God, or am I experiencing pressure from whomever, because they know we're dating. Because you know how we are, girl, y'all ain't married yet. What y'all doing? What's going on? Those sorts of things. So my husband ain't at my church, and I'm good with that.
She said, I'm good with that. He ain't there. He ain't there. It's okay if he's not. Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on this, on where the men are? Are they approaching? Are women approaching? What's going on?
Yeah, I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but I'm kind of, when I hear about this, I think of like the bro code, guy code, like girl code thing. Like I don't know if y'all heard of that. Like um yeah, so I talk about this a lot.
One reason I brought it up, because I knew you. Y'all gotta follow Brandon on TikTok. Coach Brandon, go follow him. He has like some amazing content. But go ahead.
But yeah, so I know when I was dating, I remember 2019, my church had like a dating conference, and they taught us how to like ask somebody out, and they taught us how to break up with somebody respectfully and lovingly. And then I remember one of my mentors, you know, she at the time, she told me, like, she came up to me and she was like, hey Brandon, just don't be afraid. Go out to and talk to any of these young ladies. They're waiting to get approached. And I'm like, I'm the only person, and I'm thinking I'm the only guy that is like kind of like brave to, like, start dating. So you know what, I'm gonna start dating. And I dated a few ladies in the church, and of course, like, it didn't work out. I mean, my wife, I didn't meet her in the church. I met her online. So I can see that, like, you can kind of burn bridges when you're dating in the church. That's why people would rather date outside the church. I feel like we don't see each other as brothers and sisters in Christ. And I feel like that's like a fruit of that, because now we have this like bro code, guy girl code that says that we place ownership on the last person that we date. So now, you know even though I'm interested in this young lady that my friend dated 1 or 2 months ago, the fact that they dated and it didn't work out, she's untouchable. So, and on the other end, like, you don't want to be the guy that dates one girl after the other, and now you build this reputation for yourself of, oh, watch out for this guy, like, he's going to ask you out, where in actuality he's probably just looking for his wife. But the thing is that we're not safe with each other, so we see each other as a threat. So, like this guy is going to treat me disrespectfully and like trash, or this gal is going to you know um you know talk about me with all of her girlfriends, and we forget that that gal is my sister, and that guy over there is my brother. And we have to learn, like, how can we love each other first, as brothers and sisters in Christ, and then from there, can we that creates a safe place for a guy that's looking for a wife to ask one of his sisters in Christ out, and they'll be able to see if it works, and if it doesn't, they can still love each other. Like like Emily, like she shared when she was in one of the dating groups in Boston, that they did like a lot of speed dating, and what they did was like they were required to share an encouragement about the person that they were dating. So even if it didn't work out, like you can actually see Christ in that person and build that person up. And I feel like I say this before, like I feel like we hate each other low key. Like we hate the opposite gender. We don't want to say that, but the fact that we're having this conversation, there's like a deep seated like hate for each other, and there's a lack of distrust because a lot of us have been burned by the opposite gender and by brothers and sisters in the church.
Yeah, I just want to add to that too, because I feel like in this conversation, there's this, I feel like we're speaking also a little bit to the pressure that I think guys face in like showing up in these spaces as like, we women are like, where are all the guys at? Where are all the godly men at? Like, where are they? And I feel like oftentimes, like, when we kind of fall into these cycles of kind of, dating and, oh, it didn't work out. Like, I need to kind of talk to my friends about this. And maybe I'm like sharing some things I didn't like about this person. What I think we as women really need to take upon ourselves, and even as a married woman, like I can encourage my single brothers as well. But I think we as women need to build up men. And that's one thing, like at the Christian singles ministry that I was a part of, I really did appreciate that she required us, like as we were finished with each of our speed dates, there was like a Google form where it was like provide an encouragement. And at the end, everyone walked away with like 10 bullet points of encouragement from each of their dates combined. And I feel like something like that, like whether something doesn't work out for whatever reason, I feel like we should be at the very least able to provide feedback on like, here's like all of these attributes about you that like I admire. Here's where I'm seeing like you are a capable man. You're capable of doing XYZ, because I feel like we're really not providing those words of encouragement. And I feel like the culture at large is so kind of like what Brandon's speaking to, like we're at odds with each other, like just this sense of like, women rising up in society. Like, I feel like, I'm in no way saying like I'm anti-feminist, so to speak, but I feel like it creates this dynamic where it's just like feminism can be this like just response to patriarchy. And then now all of a sudden we're turning our heads at men and going and kind of like attacking men. And so I just feel like as women, it's just like on my heart, like a lot lately, that we need to be building up men instead of just constantly saying like, where are they at? Like, oh, I'm so discouraged. And it's like, well, they're discouraged too. Like we should all be like treating each other with love as brothers and sisters. And if it doesn't work with you, like you're a wonderful person. And I hope I see it working with someone else and letting them know that.
Yeah, it's that scarcity mindset where when you say that, you're saying there is no, it's kind of like you're almost saying there is no. And I think we have to shape our language, because what we're speaking it out there. And so you just say, oh, there will be. Oh, there is. Yeah, it's tough right now, but there is, and still being able to do that, because when because there are Christian men that are around you so if you're putting this on social media, you're putting this out on, you talking to your girls or whatever it is, those words are not speaking life to anybody. Right. So we have to watch what we're posting, watch what we're sharing, watch, like that's why we're having this conversation, because I do believe there are gender wars out there. and it's becoming terrible. But if you're a Christian, you should not be in the war. What are you doing? There's pee in the pool because you talking like you got it. So that's why it's like that, talk differently, speak differently, think of yourself differently. So thank y'all for that. So listen, I didn't want to leave the married question out. So I'm going to do one. I got a LinkedIn message from somebody who asked the question. Of course, I'm going to leave their name out of it, of this, because it was a question that he had. They've been married for 2 years. Freshly, there. And he said, how can I be, he's the husband speaking. He said, how can I be more patient with my wife? And so this is the situation. I said, can you explain more? Because there's a lot there, sir, that I would need to know. and even after this, there's a lot more, but I think I kind of got a little of a gist. So let's talk about it. So it says, he said, she doesn't clean much. She hardly cooks. Not that it's her job, but she just doesn't do it. And when I ask about cleaning, she gets upset and gives me excuses. Her mom is visiting from out of town, and she cleaned up before she got here, no questions. But when I ask, it's an episode. And I'm understanding because we both work, but she works from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. But still, I just would appreciate some help cleaning at least. And so I asked some more questions. I'm like, so, what are some things like, do you help? Are you still helping even though, like, are you argumentative? Like, how are you approaching? He said, no, they're not argumentative, but it's just a pain. Like, she's not cleaning. And so I offered a little bit of advice, but I wanted to wait to hear from you all before I share what I kind of shared with him about the situation. So in this case, what would you tell a man, a husband in this case? How can he be more patient? Because he sounds like he's about to lose it. So what are some keys? And I'll probably reach out to Bionica and Ralph on this one, our marriage advocates. What do y'all think? I know it's more pieces to that, but as just generalizing, patience in marriage, how can they overcome this patch?
First part of that is I feel like there's some things that they didn't cover earlier in their relationship, perhaps in the dating process, as far as what kind of expectations they had of one another, in terms of responsibilities. We recently have gone through a 7-week marriage course at our church, and we also facilitated a 5-week pre-marriage course. And not that things like this weren't available to us back when we were dating, we just didn't come across it, and just maybe weren't aware, maybe weren't really seeking it. But it's just, there's a lot of things that I think people miss out on during the dating phase that they're not like deep, profound, groundbreaking things, but they can be if you know that they exist. And just some things like that. Like that's sounds like they may need to take just some steps back and just talk through some things and just kind of reestablish, reset. Because I feel like it could just be in that particular relationship, it is probably just going to get worse if they don't just like reset and figure out, what his expectations are of her, what her expectations are of him, and then figure out what the balance is going to be. Because it can't just be like, I expect you to cook, clean, and if you don't fix it, then we just always going to have problems, or we ain't going to be together, and vice versa. If she's got it made up in her mind that she's just not going to do these things to his expectations, then it just, that doesn't sound like a good situation at all. But I'll let her chime in, maybe a little bit about our dynamic.
Probably, I would say, kind of piggybacking off. Sorry, we won, and I was yelling today. So I would say, kind of piggybacking off of him, is to have the conversation of what the expectations are. But just because you have that conversation doesn't mean, okay, if he expects this, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm also going to tell you what I'm not willing to do. I guess. And if he is more concerned with things being cleaned or because that may just be something he has to take on more or all of if the compromise hasn't come yet. But if they're Christian and, if she sees, okay, he's doing this, he's doing that, and he's just like, oh, well, I would at least like a little bit of help. And maybe as he continues to do what he wants her to do or to join in, that she'll just be like, okay, I need to stop being selfish and only doing what I want and compromise, like find some kind of compromise. I think we kind of went through some of these, like, I think you should do this, I think you should do that. And then it just kind of eventually certain things that he thought that I should be doing, I just started doing them because it was like, well, it's easier to just do this than to just keep butting heads about something so silly. Like, it's easier for me. So I think even for him, it might just be easier for you to do it and don't even expect her to help you, but to keep throwing little nuggets out there. And if you're doing it and you're still being loving and everything else is how it's supposed to be, I feel like she'll eventually come around.
Yeah. So, and that's so good. That's so good because I think, and this is even the early stages. What would you say for the couple who's been married longer, where this came up again, like not again, but maybe it's something that's causing some concern, maybe in the 7-year, 10-year mark, and it's happened and they were doing good, but now it's shifted where they're no longer doing the things they used to do. What would you say? Because I feel like that happens as well. Like we get so in the zone and then life hits and whatever. So what's your advice for that couple?
I think that
James said something that I like too.
Oh.
Has he discussed or thought about hiring someone to help if that's something that they can afford to do? Have they talked about hiring someone to do it? That is also something that could work, just depending on their dynamic. Also with the 7 to 10 year, that could be another thing. But what I would recommend for any kind of problem is that, are these people constantly, I guess, investing in the marriage, such as taking courses, going to marriage seminars, going to marriage counseling, because I don't think the issues are the issues. The issues are something else. There's a communication problem somewhere, especially after 7 to 10 years, like it's been fine, now it's different. Obviously, there's something else there that needs to be addressed. And so I would recommend just trying something different if you've never gone to counseling or a marriage seminar or, watching podcasts or, doing that course that he talked about that we just did. I think that is one thing, like throughout our entire marriage, we've always sought out outside sources and not looked within ourselves. We've always been like, okay, we're going to invest. Everybody invest in what they think is important. Like he's saying, it's valuable. Even if it's not investing money, we're going to invest our time. Oh, this is a weekend seminar. It's free, but it's going to take the whole weekend. Well, how important is your marriage? You can take that time out. And I think a lot of the things are just deeper than that cleaning. It just seems like it's a little more, and they may just need to seek out someone outside to draw out whatever that is to help them get to the bottom of it.
For sure. And that's basically, honestly, some of the things that I've told them was like, they are believers, church, accountability, therapy, whatever that may be, because you never know. And, you never know what she's going through. Is there depression there?
Yeah.
It's probably something underlining for her just to not do it if she was doing it before. Right. So maybe there's an expectation there where she's like, I don't know if 2 years, they're in the 2-year mark. It might be something that was, like you said, Ralph, that was not discussed and expectations weren't clear. So does anybody else want to chime in on this topic before we actually head on to close out?
I was going to say with the 7 to 10 year couple, what changed if it all of a sudden just became an issue. And as we grow older, we are continually growing, continually evolving. The things we desire may change, but I think the root cause still would just lead back to communication. So if they like how did like what changed? Like why did it all of a sudden become just such a major issue after this many years? Or has it always been an issue for all of these years and now it's just, finally, being verbalized?
That's so good. What has been the issue for all these years? There's so many things have been pushed under the rug. And then finally, when the rubber meets the road at 20 year, 30 year, 40 year, I see a lot of people who've been married for those long of years and they're considering they're divorced or they're considering divorce. And y'all's like, y'all married for 40 years. Like, what? And so it's like, what was not said? What was not done to prevent? What preventative maintenance was happening to even cause that? So I think, like you all said, like Bianca and Ralph said, you guys had some good points on there. All right, y'all. Listen, if y'all got questions, great, but we ain't gonna be able to take them. So these kids out here doing the most. And we hear lots in the background.
Wilding out there.
So, man, this was great. I so appreciate all of you for coming and investing time and just spending time with us and just having a blast. Like all these, I love conversations like this.
Oh yeah.
This is amazing. And this was our first one, our first event. We'll have more. We're going to do a whole recap episode of this weekend, I should say, because we came off the virtual blind dates where we had folks in virtual blind date session, and then also tonight of our panel night. So y'all in the spring, we're going to be back with something special.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait. But any final words from any of you to our audience? Any encouragement you want to give the singles, the marrieds, the folks in relationships? Just go ahead, fire off. Go ahead. Anybody at this time? Oops. Final words.
Enjoy your single season. There is purpose in it. Just seek wholeness and get to really know yourself outside of just, there is more to you. So that's my 2 cents.
More to you. Come on now. 2 cents. Anybody else?
Yeah. Just most important thing is Jesus is the most important relationship that you have to value and treasure before getting into any kind of other relationship. Once he has your heart, then he'll infiltrate everything else.
That's good.
I think one thing being in marriage, like what that also reminds me of, like a profound realization that Jesus is for marriage. Like when you like really just like let that sink in, like that this is created by him, for him, like, and this is something that he is for. Like he is like when we make him the center of our marriage, like yeah, we will have trouble. Like the Bible is very clear that we will go through trouble. But we know that we are anchored to him and he will, bring us through whatever situation we're going through, and that it won't be useless, that there will be something that he's able to bring about even for our good, as the Bible says. So it's like, I think just like for those that are maybe even like you're dating someone and it's getting serious and you're like, I feel like, a lot of us have gone through this place of like, can I really get married? Like, is this really the person that I can marry? And it's like, obviously there's a lot of like foundational things that need to be there for a person. And if those things are there, it's like, Jesus is for your marriage. And so like, you will have those tools to succeed and lean on in any hard time that you're facing. So like coming back to that is always just like so meaningful.
That's good. Thank you, Brandon and Emily. Appreciate that. Nathan, any final words?
I would say this, that I think it was spoken already, but I'm sorry. What you had a program? You had a program earlier. You said, is it the Date to Mate program? Like,
Is it Candace's program or mine?
Yours.
Yes, Date to Mate Academy. Yep.
Can I just give a shout out to that? Because I feel like the Bible speaks about, well, I don't feel like, but the Bible speaks about that there's safety in wise counsel. And I truly believe, like, if people hear what was said today and then connect with people on the account on this panel, that will help you grow into dating. It will help you in your walk. And I feel like when you get saved, that's what you should probably do first. Get discipled, get wise counsel, because this will help you not fail. This will help you not get your heart broken. This will help you, even if you've gotten your heart broken, to get it healed and walk in such a way that you will find success and good success.
That's good. Thank you, Nathan. That's so good.
We add that to a commercial.
Right. We're gonna clip that.
And we clipping that. We sign this waiver real quick.
No, you ain't signing no waiver. We got it.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Okay. Bianca, Ralph, any final words to folks out there?
No, just agree with what everybody else is saying. Keep God first.
I love y'all.
Seek out outside sources, especially within the church. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Nathan brought up a great point, just the safety and the multitude of counsel. Just, if multiple people that are kind of speaking on the same topic that don't necessarily know or connect with one another or kind of echoing the same thing, there may be something to that. So just take it for what it's worth.
Okay. Woo, y'all, listen, we had a phenomenal night. I really appreciate y'all for sticking by with us. If those who watched and watching the replay. So if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay in the comments, in the chats. Let us know that you're watching it at a later time. So again, appreciate y'all. Panelists, we thank you. And have a wonderful night.
Yes.
Weekend. Listen to the podcast, y'all. All right. See y'all later.
All right, good night, everybody.
Peace.
You want me to?
Okay.
All right. Hold on.
Just press the button.